Okay.
All right, so what we're going to do is the Krav Maga 7 elbow exercise. And again, this is not how we fight. This is just an exercise for 7 different variations of an elbow attack for class. So you folks who train at the Rowan Martial Arts Academy, this will help you practice at home some of the things that we do in class. So again, my hands start up in a non-assertive posture. First thing I'm going to do is elbow in, 1. Right. Number 2, I step. 3 is I turn. 4 is I bend. 5, straight back. 6, straight forward. And then 7, down. Okay. One thing, or a couple things to remember. One is to breathe out on every single strike. Right? So breathe out hard and percussively, either through the nose or through the mouth by keeping your teeth together. Right? Don't just hang your mouth open, because it would be easier to get hurt. When I'm elbowing forward, I'm going to hit with this portion of the elbow. When I hit to the side or back, I'm going to hit with this portion of the elbow. So from the tip back about 2 inches. I'll do it from the side once. And the other side. Notice my feet. When I do these, if you can get my feet into the frame, I turn every time. So turn here, step, and drag, right? I don't do the splits. When I step, I slide my other foot in. When I turn, go up on the ball of the foot to allow rotation of my hips. The next 2, I just stand flat-footed, is the bend and the straight back. When I come straight back, make sure you go on an angle so you go to the center of the opponent, right? When I come forward and up, turn at the hips again, raising that back heel. That is to allow your hips to turn to get more power into your strike. And if you think of, you just got bit on your back where you had a scratch that you had to itch very quickly, it just comes up. Okay. And then the final one down, same thing, hand comes up, I turn the body, and tip of the elbow goes into the opponent. So let me do that all one more time. Other side. You'll notice too, my other hand stays up to protect my head, right? I'm ugly enough, I don't need any more help. So keep that other hand up, so if somebody's attacking you, you have a better chance of defending it, right? So the first elbow, notice my hand stays up here. Notice that my head and my jaw is kind of turtled, protected by my shoulder on one side and my hand and arm on the other. Right? So rather than this, where my neck is exposed, my head is exposed, and I'm leaning forward, I turn, I pivot around my spine, and I cover my head. Usually my chin will drop down a little bit to provide some more protection, and my shoulder stays up, my other arm stays up, and I do not follow through too much with my elbow. I do not follow through all the way, exposing my face. If I miss them, I could get hurt very badly by them retaliating and punching against me. Okay, so keep those things in mind. Watch every time when I do this. Notice my other hand staying up to protect. Okay, so keep those things in mind. Okay, so I'll show you how these strikes work on an anatomical dummy here, Bob. So the first strike comes into the head. It can come on an angle down, right, into the throat, depending on how my body is positioned, it might be into the throat. It could be into the head. It could be in a lot of areas depending on how my body is. Don't think of it single dimension. Think of it more openly, because if I were to fall to a knee, it might be to the groin, right? So don't just think of it here to the head. It could be a lot of different targets. But I'll show you the high targets in this particular sequence. So that's one, right? The next one, number two, is when I come in this way, probably the guy's beside me, right? Or I would turn the body. So if I'm facing off on him, I would turn to get that. Or I might already be beside him. Maybe he's approaching from this side and I hit. Or it's done after a technique, possibly. The next one is when I turn. So the guy's probably behind me. So as I turn, I would strike him from this manner. Notice my hand stays up, right? And I want to get my elbow nice and high in case he has his hands up, right? I can always drop my elbow down on him. It's harder to bring my elbow up after the strike because oftentimes it will nullify that attack. So the next one is I'm bent over here and I would hit up, right? So the guy is usually getting me closer, or he's kind of leering over me, so to speak. And it comes into the chin area. It could even be the sternum or solar plexus, right? If I'm knocked down, it could be to the groin here. The next one in the sequence, I'm standing upright, and I would elbow typically into maybe the groin or the midsection area. So I'm this way. Make sure you're driving your elbow in an angle towards the center of his body, if you can. Here. Okay. And then the final two is upward here. And again, maybe I get knocked down to a knee, and it goes in to the groin, possibly. Right? So I'm here, or I get knocked down, and I'm here. I can grab a hold of his head on most of these techniques, at least the ones that I'm dealing with a frontal attack. Right, so I can grab a hold of his head and come straight in as well. Or underneath the chin here. Now that final the final elbow is done usually when he's bent over. I'm typically not going to do this. I mean, I could, probably not the best use of my strike. So it might be, I just got finished kneeing him in the groin, which would pitch him forward if it was a good strike, right? Pitches him forward this way, and I'm going to strike right where the skull meets the spine on the back of the neck here. Okay, once again here. I'm kind of propping Bob up, so I might not have the guy exactly the same way. I might have him tight. Okay. But that technique could be used a lot of different ways. So once again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay. Now that Bob looks like he needs a rest. Practice those at home, and give me a shout if you have any questions on it. You can email me or give me a call. Okay? Thanks again.